Alarm has been raised over the ongoing scourge of illegal coal mining and trading. The South African Revenue Service recently initiated an intergovernmental search and seizure operation across 5 provinces to clamp down on syndicates in this regard. SARS has also highlighted the urgency in tackling this matter as it poses an economic threat. Mining lawyer and director at Malan Scholes Attorneys Hulmes Scholes speaks to us about this. Thank you so much for your time, Hulmes. I think as a starting point, let's unpack where we are in South Africa, the extent of this unlawful trade.
We've got a very big illegal mining across all minerals problem in South Africa. Coal mining, gold, chrome. There are actually no minerals in this country that are sort of unscathed by illegal mining. Illegal coal mining, as we've seen in the latest clampdown by SARS and other intergovernmental departments and intergovernmental effort, is also a massive problem in South Africa. Our fiscus loses billions and billions of rands a year as a consequence of illegal mining. It's a huge problem.
Now let's get to those financial implications. Of course, the SARS action is now welcomed, but there is a role to play for the private sector. How do they fit in curbing this unlawfulness?
Well, you know, behind every corrupt government official, behind every corrupt policeman, behind any enabler of unlawful activity who is in a government position, is somebody in the private sector. You know, we unfortunately have a culture of disregard for the law in South Africa, and where that comes from is lack of enforcement by our government to manage our natural resources. Our Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act is not properly administered and enforced, and our National Environmental Management Act is not properly policed and enforced. And when you have slack enforcement of laws, criminal enterprises grow into that void created by the lack of enforcement. So that's unfortunately where we are. The answer to your question directly is unfortunately a political one. And we will only have criminality curbed in this country when we have serious political will to stop the criminality in South Africa. That, unfortunately, is the reality that we face, including in the mining sector.
On that note, Hulmes, was to be said about the lack of arrests and prosecution. Yes, SARS has gone on this mission of search and seizure, but we are not hearing reports of any individuals or syndicates being arrested and charged.
You know, the problem that we have is, and it's a very good point that you raise, the difficulty that we have is that to prosecute mining laws and environmental laws in South Africa is a complicated issue. Our laws are complicated. The only way we ultimately going to effectively prosecute these matters is if we have a dedicated unit of the South African Police Services, as the old Scorpions used to be. The old Scorpions was a dedicated unit of the South African Police Services and the security cluster to stop corruption. We need a dedicated unit of the South African Police Services to stop and manage illegal mining. And the question is, people will ask, but why is mining so special? Why does mining deserve its own police force? Why do other branches of criminality, if I can call it that, not also get their own police force? And the answer to that is that it costs us billions and billions and billions of rands a year. And our natural resources are being whittled away because people are not being effectively prosecuted. Only if you have a division of the SAPS, which has dedicated policemen, dedicated investigators, and dedicated prosecutors, are you going to stop this problem. And you hinted at something very important in your earlier question. There is cooperation between the private business sector and government. We have seen initiatives by Jannie Durant from Vengro. We have seen Neil Foneman from Sibanya. They are part of this private government initiative to stop crime, and they are assisting the government with technological advances to combat crime. So that is the only way we're going to stop it. Cooperation between the private sector and government, and, in my view, a dedicated unit of the police, which we used to have, by the way. We used to have the Diamond and Gold Squad, which was very effective, which was disbanded. We should have something like that to replace it.
Yet another matter, I suspect, that deals with politics as a parting shot. We must also then discuss how the likes of Eskom are impacted by the illegal trade of coal and mining, because essentially that's what South Africa uses for power generation.
Look, yes, that's also a good question. I mean, it's all public, and we've seen and we've lived through the startling revelations in the Zondo Commission process and the Zondo Commission report, how Eskom was actually captured by criminal syndicates. And the way that fed into the coal industry is that substandard coal was sold to Eskom on corrupt contracts. To use an example, coal, one of the curses of criminality in the coal industry is that you have good quality coal on trucks being hijacked, and then that hijacked coal is blended with much lower quality coal and then sold into Eskom as a mix of a lower quality product, which may pass muster initially, but it doesn't allow the power stations to operate effectively. So it's syndicated criminality that is the problem.
Thank you so much for your contribution in this discussion. Hulmes Scholes is a mining lawyer. They are talking to us this morning about the illegal trade of coal as well as mining. We move